Hello and welcome to another LEGO MOC Showcase video. This is of my custom crocodile locomotive. I'll let you guess where the inspiration came from. So it's July, the official crocodile locomotive set is available on lego.com. When I saw the leaked pictures about a month or two ago, however long it was, I was kind of impressed because I thought, you know what, if that's a LEGO set, I'd be interested in getting one of those because it looks to be very detailed, kind of taken seriously, on par with things like the Emerald Knight and the Horizon Express. And then it came out, and it was £90, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to spend £90 on that. I can build my own one. I know I got the parts, I don't really have any other build projects, so why not? This is the end result. I put some pictures and a small action video on my Flickr page, so check that out if you want to see a little bit more. And when I put the picture on YouTube as well, just as a community post, I was amazed by the feedback because people were saying this is a really good looking model, and even had a few people saying this is better than the official set. In some cases I can probably see why, and when I say some I probably mean one. But even then, this is not a bad looking locomotive because this is an electric locomotive. I tend to do steam kind of religiously. I don't have any other build projects, so I don't have any desire to take this apart. And due to the variety and some of the building techniques I've used for this, I don't really want to anyways. I did a poll just for the sake of doing a poll saying, alright, now I've done this, now you've seen it. Is it worth taking it apart? And pretty much everybody said, no, don't take it apart. Just keep this. It looks really good. We like it. So yeah, this is going to be sticking around on the railway. Let's start off at the front. Fronts and fronts, this is symmetric on both ends, so I don't really need to cover this twice. I suppose that's good for time saving. Now, I was looking at a few different crocodile locomotives online, so there are going to be a few design elements taken from a few different real-life locomotives. So the consistency isn't particularly there, but you get the general idea. Also, this is 8 studs wide. The base, as you can see there, is 8 wide. However, these front units are 5 wide. I thought this was interesting to try and get that size of the kind of footplate? What do you call this? Like, not a platform, but there's basically this much that sticks out on the base. So I thought at 6 wide, it's too thin. 7 wide is just unnecessary, so keep it nice and easy, nice and round as well. That's 8, and it looks particularly good. There are probably a few things I'd go back and try and add some more detail to, basically the things you kind of see on the side. But even then, I don't think it's really worth the time. I was able to get this done in a day, and even then, because it was something completely different and very new, I was surprised I was able to do this in that day. If we have a look at the wheels, these are done very interestingly. I had to make a decision on what kind of design I was going to go for. So I did some research. I learned that this had 2 designs. So this is according to the research I looked at online, where you see how it is kind of here, where there's these gaps where the cab kind of articulates on its own. So if I quickly lift it up, and oh, that's not going to work. Hang on. Let me try and do it this way because it's not going to behave well on the tracks. So you can see how it wants to turn like that. There we go. That apparently is a real design, and I thought if that's a real thing, then yeah, I can go for that because, first of all, it has that realism look to it, so people can't say, oh, you're just cheating by, you know, skipping out and making these gaps so it's not too realistic. I do what I can to make my models look as realistic as possible, but even then, with my limited build skills, there are going to be hiccups like that. But in this instance, I can get away with it. So that was one design. I think most people who've built crocodile locomotives have done this design as well. But the other was to have all of these 3 units connected on one rigid base and have these wheels swivel as if it was like a coach. So those were my 2 choices, but I thought it's an opportunity to have the wheels rigid to the base, and again, since this is a real design where the cab articulates on its own, why not do it that way? It's kind of common as well, so join the club, I suppose. Right, back to the front end because I got a bit distracted there. One of the key things that people really liked about this design was how I handled the drive gear. And that's what I'm going to call it because I don't know electric locomotives, and when I did my research, it was only brief when it came to doing this. So the drive gear is this bit. So this is a Technic sort of round piece. I don't know the official name, but you get the idea just by looking at it. I've got a fair whack of them in black thanks to the 2010 Monster Fighters Ghost Train. I think it's from 2010, but you know which one I'm on about. So I've got loads of those, and these are set 2 plates above the line where the wheels are set. And just by connecting some of these Technic pieces together, it fits really nicely, nice and snug. You do have to try and find a little sweet spot when it comes to using these sort of pieces here in particular. And it's probably wiser to use these pieces because the Technic arms, the Technic rods I should say, in between these 2 pieces, the connector pins, can be adjusted so you can get the exact length, and therefore when it goes around corners and kind of just moving in general, it's nice and smooth, and it does look really spectacular. My only problem is, obviously these pieces have loads of holes in them, which, you know, it kind of stands out. But at the same time, it's Lego, so you can't really complain too much. And it does look amazing just to see that detail there. I did something similar like this with my white medallion quadruplex years ago. But seeing how successful this is, I might try that again in the future for a TLR class tank engine. I might give that a go, you know. But all in all, that looks really good. I'm very happy with how that turns out. It is kind of new for me as well, because the previous design I did using that technique, that drive gear was there in front. So instead of it being a proper cylinder, it was basically this design, but again, it was in front, not mixed in with the wheels. But, you know, going forward, learning new techniques, that is something I will definitely try again in the future. The top part here, well, yeah, the top part, why not? Let's talk about these panels. So I'm going to call these panels, I don't know if they're supposed to be vents or something else in particular, but looking at the locomotives online, they had these sort of raised sections going along the top, and I've been able to represent that just with some small tile pieces. These ones in particular are 2x3. This is the 4x3 minifigure stand you get with the minifigure collectible series. They are plentiful, I can get loads of them online as well. And given this specific design, this is a 1x3 tile just to kind of close that gap. That's a 1x6 slope going along there. And going across the side, I've got these 1x2 bricks with the kind of serrated design, I think that's what they call them. But along here, there was something a little bit more specific going on. There was this black section, and then there's these kind of rounder pieces. This isn't too accurate. It's supposed to be about, I don't know, maybe 2 studs along there. But there'd be a half a stud gap there on each side, and it's a bit particular. So I'm cheating a little bit. I'm just using these tiny 1x1 tiles just for the sakes of not having to dig into other bricks. I did challenge myself, I should say this at the beginning. I did a challenge for myself when it came to building this, not to buy any parts online. Just grab your boxes, dig in, see what you got, and make with what you have available. Which explains why this is in red, because I have a very plentiful supply of red bricks. And the 2007 hobby train set is also featured to have a crocodile locomotive on the box, and it's also in red, so happy coincidence. I did have a few comments from people saying when I put it on Flickr and the picture on YouTube, it looks like the 2007 set, that looks pretty good. That might have been my dad that said that, actually, never mind. But I've definitely heard somebody say that. I think that was a comment online. Anyway, back to this. Tell you what, I was tempted to, just one last thing on that matter. I did realise that as I was building this, so a white cross was going to appear across there, just for the sake of like a reference. But, you know, in the time of building all of this, I just built that wall up really quickly and just didn't do it. If you want to see me put that white cross there, just as a nod to the 2007 set, let me know. I'll be happy to add that. So, all in all, that is what these end units look like. Again, they are the same on both sides, so I'm not going to review both ends. As is the wheels and basically everything involving this end piece. It's kind of tidy, put together really well, and I'm happy with how it looks. I mean, there isn't really much else to really talk about. So let's go on to the cab. So the cab roof, easily removable. It sits with a selection of plates in a certain place, and there are smooth tiles just to help with that. So, again, limited research. I'm assuming all of because it's electric, all the motors and whatever else are in these two ends, and there's nothing sitting in this sort of centerpiece here. So I've got 2 cabs, one on both sides. They are not symmetrical, but they do have controls and some levers. Sadly, no seats. I wasn't able to find any seats before the day was done, so I just left it as it is. But all in all, it's very simple, just building up, getting some minimal details in. And also, don't know if anybody's really noticed, you know what, I'll lift this up whilst I do this carefully. Make sure I don't break it. There we go. Let's take the whole thing off, why not? Because it's going to dip down if I just leave it on its own. Oh yeah, since this is exposed, just before we go back to the cab, that's what I'm connecting the cab to, these 2x2 turntable pieces. Very easy. Turns out I've got loads of those. But yes, going back to this, I think this was something on the 2007 set as well, where this front end here is sideways built. If I can try and take this off live, one take with one hand, you might want to skip ahead a few seconds just in case. No, okay, I can't do that off. Can't take that off with one hand, never mind. But there is sideways built. There are some side-studded bricks going along here, and that is a total of 5 plates long, which is equivalent to 2 studs long. So it's a plate, chunky slate brick as you can see here, then some smooth tiles just to smooth out the look. And it is flush with these window pieces you can see along here. So that is something that I learned a good long time ago, but it's a very useful technique. Even if you're going to be using something like this for smaller areas, it's actually really good. So in the future, try building sideways because you could get a better result than you can building normally. Got these smaller transparent pieces here just to represent some more windows. And, oh yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the cab. Now let's quickly talk about the roof because it's something else I did and it's already falling apart. Was it like that? Yeah, okay. So this is the roof of the cab. It is the most bare in terms of detail. It was just a collection of smooth plates and some tiles. All these 2x2 slope bricks as well along the end. And the pantographs I nicked off my Horizon Express set. I rebuilt it recently, and when I say recently, I mean about 2 weeks ago, something like that. And I built these pantographs up. These are not how they're supposed to be for the set, and I don't really have the parts to kind of replicate this more than what I have here. So for the sake of the review, I borrowed these here. I'm going to do a set review for the Horizon Express, so you're going to see these return on there. But after that video is done, I'm going to keep these pantographs on this model because it's a custom model and I value this more. Right, so now it comes to the tricky part because putting the cab back on is a bit finicky. Yeah, there's one more thing I forgot to mention. Speaking of the cab, let's use this end one, it's closer. So you can see here, I've got 2x3 sort of triangular wedge pieces. It's a bit difficult to see, but they are sticking out. And I've also, on the cab, on both ends, have them there as well. I'm able to use these angled pieces as a way of letting me close this gap between the cab and the end unit and allowing it to swivel at the same time. Now, doing a full rotation is not possible. It stops after a while, but even then it closes the gap enough between those wedge pieces and basically allows it to go around corners. It doesn't need to be too much, but for what it is, it's plenty, it works, and I thought that was a genius idea. I saw that on another model in the past. I don't really recall what model it was or who built it, but I definitely recall seeing such a design. I don't even think it was for a train, but the fact that it exists is amazing because if I didn't think of that, or at least didn't see the model in the past that featured such a design, I would not be seeing that there, and that gap would be massive and ugly, and yeah. So, there we have it. That is my crocodile locomotive, the latest addition to the railway. I thought this was a very fun build. It's nice to do something different to steam locomotives, and this is a rarity because this will be sticking around. I don't have any desire to take apart this model for the sake of the bricks. Those drive wheels are going to be staying there. The red bricks, you know, don't need to really touch them. The base plates and the tiles, again, don't need to touch them for anything. The pantographs, if anything, will be going back and forth between my Horizon Express set. But at the same time, I'm not really going to be going into that because it's on the end unit specifically, like the actual locomotive bit. And if anything, I'm going to be touching the coaches, more so the powered coaches, just for the sake of doing some action videos. So yeah, this is definitely going to be sticking around. I don't know if you'll be seeing this in the background of future videos, but let's just see what happens going forward. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all ever so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next episode. Bye.